Ranking Member Gillibrand.
Senator Kim.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Voshinska, I wanted to just start with you. I was intrigued by what you raised in terms of that idea about the EU qualified persons. And I guess I just wanted to start by just asking, does a framework like that model already exist in other sectors in the United States? I felt like you said something about on the finance side and others, but I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity from you just how novel of an idea this is.
Absolutely. It's actually not a novel idea. I mean, for one, it has been used in Europe for decades. But in the United States, in terms of FDA and something that FDA is already familiar with, during when FSMA passed, so the Food Security Act, Modernization Act, there are a couple of programs, one for drug importers, and I discuss it more in the paper that I published earlier today, where the importer is an extra layer of verification that the product that is being imported into the United States, they have to do a certain set of checks and, in a sense, verify. And there's a person who is responsible for verifying and signing off that everything meets the standards that are expected. So we have that. We have it in the Sarbanes-Oxley bill. It's the same general concept that somebody takes on personal responsibility for what is being put forward, and it also exists in a number of other professions where there is actually this kind of accountability that's added.
Given your knowledge about our markets and our structures here in terms of this industry, how challenging would it be to be able to implement this? How significant of a change would this create?
So you would have to modify legislation, right? You would have to, the Health Committee would need to make changes to the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. That would be necessary. In terms of how big of a shift it would be, it would depend how it would be designed. I don't think we have enough time to kind of go into the details about what are the levers. But for example, the qualified person framework in Europe applies to every manufacturer, including domestic European manufacturers. Here, the idea is to, in a sense, complement what FDA is already doing and sort of complement in areas where they are struggling much more, which is with countries that don't have comparable regulatory systems. And so you could narrow it down in that particular way. There's a question: do you do it? So there's mandatory testing that Europe does, and you actually the product actually have to make it into Europe first before it gets tested. So it sits there in warehouses. Would that be necessary? It adds to cost, but then it also adds a certain level of assurance. So one thing is One thing that I would like to mention is there are different ways of trying to solve this and level the playing field. If you were to ask me, I would prefer to level the playing field in a way where we actually have this kind of quality assurance, because overnight we're not going to be able to switch away from our reliance, especially on India. India in 2024 produced 61% of solid oral dose products that we sell in the United States. And the full market is 187 billion pills, and India makes 61% of them. We're talking about 180 different facilities. We're talking about API facilities of probably over 200, well over 200. The size of this is massive, and I think we need to prioritize. Yeah. And one way for us to deal with the onshoring is to figure out some other ways to help that.
Well, I think the idea is that we can have multiple tools that don't have to
That's
run
right.
sequentially,
That's
but
right.
simultaneously. Mr. Retchenberg, you raised the issue about independent batch testing and things that are somewhat similar to what we just heard. I don't know how familiar you are with this qualified persons model, but what's your sort of initial reaction to that, and what else can we be thinking about in terms of independent batch testing?
Yeah, I think that this is also a critical point for anything that we're currently importing needs to be verified for quality, because a lot of the time in the US currently, we're getting drugs that are imported, and we only find out after the fact that they have these bad tests, and then they're recalled, and US patients have already taken them. If we adopt a more European-style model where we have this independent batch testing, that in order to have these drugs released into the US market, they have to be tested and verified that they are quality drugs, that they work for what they say they're going to work for, then this will greatly reduce the risk. And so this is an essential
So
first step.
you think it's worth exploring these different ideas that are out there?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And with that, I'll yield back.